Hi, Shalom. Anyway, you don't have to like this. Don't be inclined to give me anything, a like, and definitely, I'm not here for money or conversion. I just love telling stories. I have, I don't know, something about storytelling that, I don't know. So anyways, it's very sunny, and I'm somewhere outside of Illinois, and I want to tell a story about Adam and Eve. You know, it's not exactly perfect from Genesis or the Torah or from Tanya or from, you know, from the Talmud. You know, it's not exactly perfect Old Testament. But I want to tell a funny story. So, God decided to make man. And he decided to make him in his image on the sixth day. And he makes man. And he says, oh, this is good. So he looks at man and he says, this is great. And he puts him in the garden. He lets him name all the animals. Every single one. And I'm sure that must have been interesting. I would have loved to have been there when he named them to say, why did you name the dog's dog? Did you know that that was God backwards? G-O-D, G-O-D. Anyways, that's an interesting question. Nobody thinks about it. No one cares, actually. Maybe they shouldn't. Okay. Pretty weird and funny. Anyway, so he has this beautiful man, and more interesting than the angels, and he decides, hey, you know what? This man's alone. Maybe he should have somebody to help him tend to this extremely beautiful garden. What a beautiful garden, he said, is good. I heard some people say that God sang it all into existence. I don't think that's written anywhere. If you've seen it written somewhere, that's one thing I want to know. Did God sing it? Is it oral or is it written? Some people say it's definitely written, but I don't know that for a fact. You know, because it's handed down from Abraham to Moses to David. So anyways, I don't know. So I'm away from my story of Adam and Eve. So for Hava and Adam, and the tree. And this strange evil inclination, this strange ugly thing comes to her. Maybe it's really beautiful, I don't know. And maybe he's seductive. And he says to her, hey, what about this tree? What did God say about this tree? And she says, we should touch it or eat from it. But I don't know if anywhere it's written. Is it written anywhere that God says not to touch it? Anyway, probably not. I don't know. Anyway, so she does it. She doesn't have an evil thought in her whole body. I mean, my goodness. I mean, she doesn't know what the concept of God is. How can she say, God, I'm going to be like God? You know, I mean, what about that would be appealing to her? Anyway, it doesn't matter, as the story goes. Anyway, so she eats from it, and then God, during the breeze in the evening, comes through, and he calls Adam, and he says, where are you? I can't find you. And you know, God knows exactly where he's at. And Adam says, well, I'm not appropriate. And God gets very interested. I don't think God really became furious or angry. I don't know. God was just frustrated. He says, who told you that? You know, oh, I see. You've eaten from that fruit, haven't you? And Hava, he says Hava did it. And Hava says, no, it's this evil thing, or they call it a serpent. Hava says, I'm sorry, Eve. And So from there, I mean, where does it start? From an evil thought? From an evil inclination? I don't think that Eve understood the whole validity of it all. I don't know if God totally explained it. It doesn't say he does, did. It didn't say he doesn't. So maybe she really thought it was a good idea. Maybe she thought it was something that would make God pleased. How many times do we do things every day that we think is surprising to God, or God would be surprised by? I think we do those things all the time. We don't mean to. So anyway, so God says, hey, you know what? I told you this, but my arms, he doesn't say my arms are still stretched out. This is one of my favorite verses. Read the Bible. Look for, and God's arms are still stretched out. Imagine that, a personal thing. Anyway, so then they're thrown out of the garden. And supposedly that story's over. There's no more. Do you totally believe that was it? He did promise them a Messiah. He promised them a Messiah. Some people will say no. I don't know. It's up to you to think about. And this is some ideas out there. And like I said, this is not quite Torah, it's not quite Genesis. It's just Rachel's little story, Rachel, making too much noise. If you've gotten this far and listened to it, it's too long now. Shalom, shalom.